Chapter 6 Last Wild Horses on Earth. "What do you mean, the last wild horses on Earth?" asked Jack. "I'll tell you as we walk," said Tuya. As she started down the path, Jack and Annie hurried alongside her. "For almost 200,000 years, the horses lived on the plains of Mongolia," said Tuya. "We call them the Taki, which means spirit. They are not like regular horses." "Why not?" said Jack. "The Taki are a different breed," said Tuya. "They are truly wild. They cannot be tamed. No one can ride them, but they are a big part of our history, in folk tales and legends. By my great-grandparents' time, they had died out." "How did that happen?" said Annie. "Many reasons," said Tuya. "The country had some very bad winters, and people hunted the Taki for food. Also, many of the Taki died from diseases and droughts." "So where did these Taki come from?" asked Jack. He pointed in the direction of the horse corral. "Even though the Taki here in Mongolia were wiped out, a small number survived in zoos around the world," said Tuya. "And today, the zoos have started to return them to their native land." "Oh, man, I get it," said Jack. "In a few months, this group of wild horses will leave the corral and be free to roam the whole nature reserve," said Tuya. "Why can't they roam the whole reserve now?" asked Annie. "Because they have been living in zoos. They do not know how to find food or water in the wild," said Tuya. "They can't protect themselves from wild animals like wolves and brown bears. So they must stay in a safe place while they get used to our land and climate." "Huh, makes sense," said Annie. "Soon others will arrive from more zoos," said Tuya. "We hope the Taki mares will give birth and raise their foals in the wild." "Oh, that's wonderful," said Annie. "Yes," agreed Jack. Now he completely understood why this was a great day for Tuya and her country. The homecoming of the wild horses really was a miracle. By the time they arrived at Tuya's home, a full moon was rising over the distant hills. The wind was stronger. Jack was glad to step into the cozy yurt. At least a dozen nomads, grown-ups and children, had joined Tuya's family. Everyone was celebrating the return of the wild horses. Women were putting food on the tables: small cakes, cheese, dumplings, bread, yogurt, soup, and bowls of milky tea. In the rosy candlelight, Tuya's father began playing the strange-looking fiddle with the carved horse's head. The group fell silent. Even the smallest children were still. Tuya's father played the fiddle's 2 strings with his fingers and a bow. He started to sing. The man's voice was like nothing Jack had ever heard before. His singing was a blend of high whistling and low, deep rumbling sounds. It was haunting and beautiful. Tuya turned to Jack and Annie. "This is Mongolian throat singing," she whispered. "The voice of the singer sounds like the whistling wind and the rumbling of horses' hooves." Jack closed his eyes and imagined the Taki running across the open reserve, free as the wind. Suddenly the red door opened. Khan stepped inside the yurt. "Welcome, Khan!" Batu called out. Khan didn't smile or nod. He crossed to Tuya's father. "There's a problem with the Taki," he said. Everyone grew quiet. Tuya's father put down his instrument and stood up. "What's wrong?" he said. "I found the gate open," said Khan. "I tried to count them. I think several have escaped the corral." Everyone gasped. "The gate was open?" thought Jack. His heart started to pound. "We must find them!" cried Tuya. "If they are still alive," said Khan. "If they ran into the reserve, they will most likely get lost or be killed by wolves tonight." "No, Khan, don't say that!" cried Tuya. "Tuya, Khan is right," said Tuya's father. "These Taki have always lived in a zoo. They do not know how to defend themselves in the wild. It is a full moon. The wind is strong. There are wolves in the hills tonight. If they pick up the scent of the horses, they will come down to the plains." "Oh, that's terrible," Annie said. Tuya and Gan burst into tears. "The Taki came all this way," said Tuya, sobbing. "Finally they're home, and now some might die. We must go look for them, now!" Her father shook his head. "No, Tuya, I'm sorry, we cannot look tonight. They will not come to us. Our presence would only frighten them more. They will run deeper into the darkness of the wild." Jack could hardly breathe. His thoughts were racing. The gate was open. What happened? Who did it? "Daughter, don't cry," said Batu, putting her arms around Tuya. "Hopefully they will be safe tonight and return on their own in the daylight." As Batu tried to comfort Tuya and Gan, the grown-ups all talked at once. "Why was the gate left open? How many are missing? At dawn we must search." Jack pulled on Annie's sleeve. His hand was trembling. "I have to tell you something," he whispered. "What? Tell me," Annie said. She had tears in her eyes, too. "Come outside with me," Jack whispered. "Now." "Why?" said Annie. "Just come. Hurry," said Jack. While everyone was talking, he and Annie slipped out the door. The windy night had grown cooler. "Jack, what is it?" said Annie. Jack pulled Annie away from the yurt. "I did it," he said. "I was the one." "What are you talking about?" said Annie. "I left the gate open. I must have," said Jack. "When I went back to the corral, everyone was gone. I opened the gate. I grabbed my binoculars, but I don't remember latching the gate when I left. I don't remember if I even closed the gate. I did it."